heard. Courteous behavior is expected of everyone at all times. This is not a question and answer format. Please remember that the purpose of a public hearing is to allow you, the public, an opportunity to express your thoughts concerning the proposed LWDPS permit WP 1883. I intend to allow all interested parties a reasonable opportunity to comment unless testimony is not related to the purpose of the hearing. You may speak in opposition to the permit, in support of the permit, or simply to provide additional information. Your comments will be evaluated and addressed in the department's written response. The proposed permit is to the Town of Independence for the Independence Wastewater Treatment Facility located just east of the Town of Independence on Quezon Road in Tangipahoa Parish. The final permit, if issued, will allow the discharge of treated sanitary wastewater from the facility. The public comment hearing notice was published in the Baton Rouge Advocate on July 30th, 1994, the Hamlin Daily Star on July 31st, 1994, and the Amite Digest on August 4th, 1994. The application, draft permit, and fact sheet concerning the proposed permit may be examined at the Tangipahoa Parish Library, Independence Branch at 121 West 4th Street in Independence, the Tangipahoa Parish Library, Amite Branch at 139 West Oak Street in Amite, and the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality Water Pollution Control Division, 3rd floor, 7290 Bluebonnet Road, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Copies of information pertaining to the proposed permit may be obtained at 25 cents a page from that location. Comments and questions regarding the permit may be directed to Van Green, Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality, Water Pollution Control Division, Post Office Box 82215, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70884, 2215, and please cite the reference number WP1883. The comment period on this permit will close on September 21st, 1994. Comments postmarked after that date will not be considered. All comments received will be made part of the record and will be considered by the department in its decision on the permit. Now, with regard to the speakers tonight, I will ask each speaker to begin by stating for the record their name and address and any organization which they may represent. And we will go in the order in which the cards are signed. Ms. Sandra Messina.
My name is Sandra Messina, and I live inside the city limits of Independence, and I represent CCCI. I am well aware that our existing oxidation pond is not properly treating its discharge into the Tangipahoa River. The pollution of our river is a major concern to me, as I know it is for all of us. Equally disturbing to me is the manner in which the town proposes to address this problem. I am a single-income parent struggling to make ends meet, and I will be even more heavily burdened with the increase on my monthly bill. My present bill includes $5.50 for water, $5.50 for waste, $3.50 for fire, $2.50 for police, and $3 for sewer, which totals $20.22 including tax. The proposed project will increase my monthly bill by an additional $13.50 to $16 for the next 4 years. Independence is a low to moderate income community. many of whom are retired and on fixed incomes. According to the 1990 census, 318 residents of the approximately 1,700 population are 65 years of age and older. Many will not live to see this project paid. Where will the money come from to pay for this $2.2 million project? The town of Roseland already faces a similar situation. Mead, Kentwood, and Ponchatoula all had single-cell oxidation ponds that were upgraded to meet DEQ and EPA standards. Mead was in the worst shape of all, yet they upgraded for approximately $200,000. Tangier Hope Parish Sewer District 1 constructed a 5-cell system capable of servicing the entire town of Independence and more at a cost of approximately $189,000. We will be submitting to the DEQ our findings on alternate technologies and sites. Smoke tests within our sewer lines were conducted and revealed many broken lines. I know this has to be corrected. If so corrected, why will the new facility be equipped to handle 6 times the amount of flow generated by the town, the schools, and the hospital? Will we be paying to treat rainwater? It is my understanding that in order to qualify for grants from FHA of $530,000 and DOA of $750,000, the town of Independence has to get a loan for $797,000. I feel this proposal is far too costly for us. I also feel that this $2.2 million facility is another example of extravagance on the part of our elected officials. Our mayor has a new truck. We have new police cars, new fire chief's car. We're getting a new fire truck with a pump and a ladder, yet our streets are paving in. Instead of repairing the broken water lines under our streets, asphalt or cement is put on top of it. That's like putting a Band-Aid on skin cancer. I am for the upgrading of the existing pond and opposed to the construction of this $2.2 million proposal. I am also opposed to the DEQ assisting DOA and the town in obtaining HUD grant money to upgrade the existing facility and allowing it to be used instead to construct an entirely new system. I am requesting a 60-day extension on the written comment period and also request that we deny a permit on this proposal. And I'd also like to add that after everyone has had the opportunity to speak, I would like to come back before you. Thank you.
Ms. Darlene Genova.
My name is Darlene Genova. I live at 55329 Casey Road. We own a property which is located less than 700 feet south of the proposed site. We have raised our children here for the last 9 years, and our home is on Casey Road. First of all, I would like to request a 60-day extension by the DEQ on written comment period, allowing comments until November 21st, 1999. I am for correcting the sewage problem in Independence. I worked for Southeast Louisiana Girl Scout Council when the river was first posted. I still volunteer for Girl Scouting. We lost the most valuable river program, which still remains closed. I want to tend to the whole river clean. However, I oppose the most recent proposal by the town of Independence. If upgrading the existing facility is not possible, a new site should be selected. I am again requesting the DEQ respond to the questions in our July 1st letter that was written to Mr. Van Green. And as far as, without using the tape from that June 15th meeting. If the DEQ would like a copy of our tape at a later date, it could prove to be a good learning experience, and we'll be happy to submit it later. But we would like that question answered without the use of the tape. As late as June 15th, the meeting with the staff members of the DEQ, we were told by a supervisor, Mr. Children with the Dream, of the permanent writer, Mr. Van Green, that the IT decisions do not apply to municipal sewage waste facilities. We received an August 11th letter from Ms. Paula Romanowski, and she states all facilities, including municipalities, must respond to the IT questions. Since our June 15th meeting with the DEQ, we have to conclude that the IT questions were not considered by the DEQ staff when reviewing this application. We have written to Mr. Kachowski on August the 4th, and also sent letters to Ms. Paula Romanowski on the 4th and 11th. Mr. Kachowski was the 3rd. our concerns regarding that we feel very strongly, while Mr. Green has been one of the most polite people we have had to deal with, we still feel that we have been delayed access to much needed public records. We again request the DEQ to share this information with Mr. Green and advise us of their findings. I have been told by many government officials and agencies they are unhappy with me. I have been told that many of them are unhappy with me. We must be asking some of the right questions. I am not happy with this situation either. We may have added to the confusion, but we did not create it. I have a sample of inquiries for your records that we have written in order to try to keep down the confusion. Little did I know what we would discover when we first started. I had no idea that we would, in addition to questioning this proposal, discover that someone had been illegally dumping something into the Independence Oxidation Pond, that a fish kill of over 10,000 fish would occur in or above Independence, and that the DEQ would discover a new asphalt plant in operation in a very sensitive area by the Tangier River about a mile from our homes. I now know firsthand why many people don't trust government and elected officials. After 28 years, I know why my mother-in-law believes that all politicians are like a bunch of bananas. They start off green, then they right, and they end up rotten. In our attempts to find out about this proposal, I have not only lost precious time with my family and friends, but for more than 8 months I have been lied to, lied about, sent in circles, intimidated, humiliated, insulted, made to cry, accused of conducting a witch hunt, denied timely access to important records, and threatened to have an injunction put against me. Threatened to have the chief of police escort me, my 3-year-old daughter, and a representative of Lee out of City Hall for attempting to secret public records. Now we see that the postmaster was made by Johnny Philippe to take down the notice of the DEQ public hearing. This is the same man who threatened to have me escorted out of City Hall. Why? What's the problem? Why does it appear they don't want the public to be made aware of what's happening? We feel several town officials and or their engineering firm have done everything possibly they could to keep people that stand to be most adversely affected by this proposal from being properly informed. We feel policies, procedures, and regulations were not followed for both the Division Administration and former zone administration. We have written to, spoken with, or visited hundreds of people regarding this proposal. Some government agencies and officials have been very helpful, but for the most part have had to shake our heads. We have received some upfront, frank, and offhand remarks by some agency officials, like offhand remarks that the existing pond could be turned into a catfish pond. On second thought, maybe it wouldn't be good for catfish because of heavy metals. We have requested that our Tangier Parish Council look over the correspondence regarding the IT memos and any responsibilities they may have for us. Other than the handwritten letter they carried to the mayor on December 14th, requesting they do not purchase the land, and some other questions they answered, they basically told us there is no zoning and they cannot help us. Just who in government is responsible to see that the residents and property owners in the closest proximity to this project are informed and protected? There may be no zoning, but we do have rights. No citizen that are being made to be adversely impacted by this type of proposal should have to go through so much BS, bureaucratic system. Many of us on Cason Road struggle enough with the English language. We have been made to learn an entirely new one. For the last several months, I have been teaching my baby the alphabet soup. DEQ, EPA, ELDEQ, USEPA, DHH, FHA, RDA, DOA, HHO, LCDEG, and on. She has also learned about the 3 P's, prayer, preparation, and persistence. We have discovered some major technical and legal problems with this proposal. We feel that the applicant did not answer the IT questions on the application. On March 17th, the DEQ letter to the tenant of Independence specifically asked the applicant to reply if the reply to question number 1 on the environmental impact questionnaire was relative to the O of the new proposal. The DEQ further requested that this statement should be reevaluated if it relates to the O. On March 21st, Mr. Stephen Tate, Country Train Engineers and Surveyors, responded to the DEQ March letter of 17th stating the reply to question 1 of the environmental impact questionnaire questionnaire relates to the new facility, not the old facility. I believe you will see here tonight that that is not correct. There are several other questionable issues that will be mentioned tonight. Others will be disclosed during the written comment period. We see funding agencies awarding federal grant money as well as Farmers Home lending money on a proposal that we feel will adversely impact our health, safety, homes, our property, our enjoyment of our homes and our property, as well as our environment. We see the DEQ holding a public hearing, possibly issuing a discharge permit for the Department of Health and Hospitals, the agency which approves or denies sewage treatment facilities, has even had an opportunity to review and comment on final plans and specifications for the system. We know that until the DHH receives these plans, anything can change. The public won't know for sure what is being proposed before the Department of Health and Hospitals reviews and the plans and specifications. According to the March letter from Country Train Engineers, written by Mr. Tate to Van Green, the plans and specifications were to be submitted to both Farmers Home and Department of Health and Hospitals by July 1st. Section 1 of the recommended standards for sewage work, edition 1978, says that regarding location of sites, direction of prevailing wind is to be considered. We know Mr. Robert Debbie's engineering letter from April 22 to Ramona Stevens and Lee states, the only item that does not exist is the wind roads analysis, which was not required by any of the funding agencies, thus not done. As concerned citizens, we have not been able to review any comments on this proposal from the Department of Health and Hospital, and we are left wondering how many other items that the Department of Health Hospital will require that will not be completed. I am a homemaker, a wife, and a mother. I am not a college graduate. However, I can tell you one does not have to be an engineer or a rocket scientist to figure out that something is seriously wrong here. How can our tax dollars be used for this proposal with so little concern for people and property owners left to deal with the nuisance? How can citizens be made to pay for this proposal for the next 40 years when there are other alternatives? Not knowing where to start, we begin calling several agencies listed on the Department of Environmental, Statutory, and Assessment list. We discovered some agencies that individuals noted on that were not even aware, had any written notes regarding, they were not aware of comments they supposedly made, and had no written notes regarding the comments they supposedly made concerning this project. We have seen agencies like the DEQ, the Wildlife and Fisheries, and the Corps of Engineers have the town and or the engineering firm resubmit proper information for new determination of letter of objections. This was done because of inquiries made by concerned citizens. We have a copy of a letter dated March 22nd, which Mayor Damiano sent to Charles Ragusa Sr. with intentions to purchase the proposed site. Since Mayor Damiano intended to purchase this proposed site as early as March 22nd, 1992, the March 23rd letter to the Wildlife and Fisheries, as well as other agencies, should have included Cason Road as a proposed site on the map. We feel there are many other items on the forms that were not properly addressed. I feel my 15-year-old daughter could have done a better job of completing these forms, some of these forms. If these forms do not have to be filled out honestly and properly, and if they don't matter, why are we paying people to fill them out? In closing, I have found no public agency that ran in the newspaper, no public notices, which ran in the newspaper, which accurately describes the Cason Road site. We also have a copy of the 23rd letter with a projected map attached from, a project map attached from John Daughter's engineering firm sent to Donna Romanoff at the Division of Administration, which clearly states, please note the target area is for the whole town of Independence, which is why the town map shows no special target area. The map is clearly noted on the map as saying that the target area is the entire town. We live outside the town limits, and why and how was this proposal on Cason Road selected when it was never even targeted and was never clearly noticed in the paper? We request that you deny permit on this proposal. I don't know if I have time. I have plenty of things I'd like to share. If my 5 minutes are up, I would like to come back before you after everyone has had an opportunity to speak.
All right, after everyone else has had an opportunity to speak, you'll have a few minutes to add some comments.
Thank you. I encourage you to work real close if you see deny permit.
Did you say you had also written comments just again?
We will. We have some things to submit, and we'll be submitting other things at a later date.
At a later date, but not tonight?
We have this to submit to you tonight.
Okay, would you just bring that up to the end of the
I'll
table
certainly
here?
will. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Susanna Cooley. Is everyone here? Is everyone in the back there here? Is there any way to turn the speakers up?
No, they can speak close to the mic.
Oh, perhaps if you speak a little closer to the mic, we can hear it better.
My name is Susanna Cooley. I'm a student attorney with the Tulane Environmental Law Clinic at 7039 Correct Street in New Orleans. We've been working with the Concerned Citizens Committee
of independence, and we expect to continue working with this organization. We're very concerned about several of the issues that have been raised during the application and permitting process, and although we have been oral comments tonight this evening, we will be submitting written comments at a later date. Thank you.
Mr. Anthony Viola Jr.
My name is Anthony Viola Jr. I live 65 or 70 foot from the site of Cason Road. And I've been investigating this thing for the last 10 months, and I learned a lot. And I think I'm going to learn a lot more before it's all over. I would like to know where is the certified letter that he sent the neighbors to let them know that he was going to put this site on Cason Road. Did he ask the neighbors to purchase their property or pay them for damage? And I want to know where is the public hearing about the property, not the public hearing for the block grant. And then when I asked the question about the block, about the property, we couldn't ask about the property, we couldn't ask about how the plant worked, which I wasn't concerned about that. Where was the advertisement in the paper for the 3-acre site, not 5 acres east of the Independence, Illinois Railroad? And close to the site, I want to know where is the findings that devaluate my property, that which by law should find someone should answer these questions. And I'm concerned about the effect of my business, not only my workers, not only about me. I sell 40 to 50,000 baskets of plants out of those greenhouses. I have 40,000 people to answer to. When I renew my insurance the first of the year, I want a letter stating that there's no contamination come from this plant on my plants, that I can give my customers saying it's okay for you to buy my plants, which I already lost 2 customers because they said they didn't want to go into legal matters, and that's $1,000 a week that I lost. And I think it's time to get answers. I have more questions, and I want to know where is the book that the state of Mississippi gave me, that the property that he bought, he's supposed to stay 150 feet, which the state of Louisiana is 200 feet. DEQ in Mississippi gave me this. Where's the one for the state of Louisiana? I have a lot of questions that's not been answered, and I'm not going to stop until I find these answers. I don't want to know, like St. Martin Parish, with case 92 CAO 1018, and in this paper on page 7 and 8, they got answers in here that pertain to this site. Which one of the questions is, when they met with Governor Roman, they said, do you have an alternate site? And they said, yes. So these questions is in here. It's 5 questions. And this is the case. I would like to know, I know y'all have one of these, because the man at the Attorney General's office gave me this, and he said, Mr. Viola, this is your answer.
What is the caption of that page there? At the very top of that first page, what is it? Is it the city name? Is the name of the city?
This is in matter of American Waste Pollution Control Company. And this was in St. Martin Parish with K2, that they was going to build a garbage dump.
Okay, I just wanted to get the name because you already
It's K2. And K1 was when they moved down the road so many feet from this site. I want to know answers. I've got more questions. And the 10-state standard, which the state of Louisiana have never adopted. And in this 10-state standard, there's one of the questions that says, any time that something's being built to next to a property owner that gets federal money have to be 150 feet. But the state of Louisiana is 200 feet because the state of Mississippi is higher than the state of Louisiana. And I checked with the National Weather forecast in Miami, and I am living into a whirlwind area where the whirlwind picks up the water and brings the contamination into my fans, and my fans brings it into the greenhouses. I want to know where is the answers for this. Anybody have answers? Anybody, give them to me. I'll take them. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Agnes Oliphant. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Agnes Allison. I live on Old Casey Road. For 29 years, I have raised 6 kids, and I'm now helping to raise my grandkids on Old Casey Road. No matter what have been said, there is no amount of money that I will sell my land. I have lived direct across this society. I do not want to live with a sewer system plant in front of my home, less than 100 feet from my front door. I've already had a sewer system about 600 feet in my backyard. I don't want to leave my children, my grandchildren, and my neighbors there to live across from next to along the coast side. I have already spoken to the DEQ for a public hearing by the DEQ on April 16, 1994, environment justice. Our group had requested the help of the DEQ regarding, I think I heard it wrong, regarding environment justice. I cannot read there. I have to practice my speech and hope to tell you that the environment justice is being done to the people and and the surrounding Payson Road. When we first bought our home on Payson Road, we was told that the oxidation fund was the fish hole. We was young and we did not know anything. We believed them. Of course, once we discovered that the truth, we was there for the state because we did not have the money just to leave them. We had to live there with this system in our backyard for these years, and we know how poorly the town has kept it up. Once we find out in the fall of 1993 that the town was going to build a new system, we tried to get information, and the town also thinks that the people on the old Casey Road doesn't matter since we were out of the city limits. Well, we do matter. I have a copy of the President's Executive Order 11289 dated February 11, 1994 that says we do matter.
What is that you have? I don't know if it's clear you read it. What was that you just said? That you have in your
I
hand?
mean, we don't need to, let me see. I have a copy of the President, it's EXECTUIV, I'm not going to say that.
Executive,
Accept the order of 12898 dated February 11, 1994 saying that we do matter.
executive order of who?
President of the United States. The DEQ had told, the DEQ was told by Act 769 of the 1993 Legislation Reasons to look into this. We believe the error has been chosen mainly because we are all multi-income people. I have been to the DEQ many times to try to get help and information we needed. The last meeting was June 15, 1994. Many of us left with the feeling that no matter what we say or do or show DEQ, that it is very likely that a permit will be issued. Solely because the
flow, it's mainly because the fluid that's coming out of this new system would meet the permit requirements. I cannot and do not believe it is all DEQ has to do permit. We ask again that DEQ take very closely to this matter and deny a permit to this proposal. We surely feel that we have been lied to, misled, and even give false information about this proposal. We are now told that the town officer has not intended to drain the leaders in the session pond. Instead, they will leave it there to digest itself out. If that is possible, if that is possible, it is allowed us to made to live between and to be sandwiched in between two sewage systems. No one should have to live under these conditions. We do want independence to correct that sewage problem, and we want the tax for who we will cover up. But however, as people, we do pay. And there are other options. Please allow the written permit, please allow the written comment permit to go to November 22nd, 1994 of this proposal. Thank you.
Mr. Eddie Oliphant.
My name is Eddie Oliphant. I'm here about the sewer pond that I live direct across from the area that they put here, showing where I live. I live right here. This is the new site that they're going to put it.
Could you make
Right
sure,
across the road.
could you make sure you're speaking into the microphone and you can pull it over and then close it?
Well, I live right across from the new site, right across here. That's my house right there. They have water coming from behind the school right down to that site where they put it, and it comes both ways. This end's more lower than the front end. I've seen water come across that, and I hear it like people on a pickup truck. My well that I water my garden with is only 33 feet deep, right there. I got 2 boys live right there. I got one grandson over there. I got a grandson here, and a granddaughter, which is 2 months old. And I don't see why that we have to live and get the fumes off of this pond. We already got one back there in the back. And in times, we can't hardly sit on the back porch, but if a fume come off from that back pond. I don't see why they can't just jump back here and block this first part of it off, build a dam across that, and fix this back part. They can still use this front part until they got the back part fixed. Now, we all for the river and the stuff that be cleaned up. I'm not against that at all. All I'm against is for them to put that pond direct out in front of my house, which would be 85 feet from my front porch to on the other side of that road. I don't see why we have to live in that condition. I've been there a long time. I raised my kids up. And I've got grandkids. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Laura Penn.
I came up with. I would like to commend the City of Independence for attempting to upgrade the present sewage treatment facility. According to the city and parish information, the present facility is first, located in a 100-year flood zone. Second, has a highly permeable sandy layer that either encroaches into or is located just below the bottom of the existing pond. Third, according to the Soil Survey of Paintsville Hall Parish, Louisiana, is located in an OG soil type. This soil type has been determined by the Soil Survey, Table 11 sanitary facilities, to have properties or site features so unfavorable or so difficult to overcome that special design, significant increases in construction costs, and possible increase in maintenance are required. I understand the need and the necessity to upgrade the present system, but have many concerns with the present proposed site for the new facility. This site is located in the recharge area of a designated sole source Southern Hills aquifer system. It is my understanding that 3 aquifers have the direct possibility of contamination if leakage should occur at the new site. Those aquifers are the shallow, the Ponchatoula, and the Chitcot. Water levels in the shallow aquifer range from near land surface, near permanent streams, to as much as 8 feet below land surface in some upland areas. In another EPA publication, it states that shallow aquifers found close to the land surface are easily accessible, but also easily contaminated. The average well depth in the adjacent properties is 33 feet. These wells are at risk to contamination if leakage should occur. Many of the property owners depend on these wells for irrigation, watering their livestock, and drinking water. The Ponchatoula aquifer is hydrologically connected to the shallow aquifer along approximately east-west line through the towns of Independence and Summit. In the seminar publication, Wellhead Protection, a Guide to Small Communities, February 1993, it states that properly identifying the recharge area is critical in groundwater protection because the introduction of contaminants within the recharge area can cause aquifer contamination. If the shallow aquifer is contaminated, what happens to the Ponchatoula aquifer, which the town of Ponchatoula depends on for most of their water? I know that a line has been required. According to the EPA, even these lines sometimes leak. Municipal sewage treatment facility wastewater and sludge can contain organic matter, nitrates, inorganic salts, heavy metals, coliform and non-coliform bacteria, and viruses. The EPA states that drinking water containing bacteria and viruses can result in illness such as hepatitis, cholera, blue baby syndrome, and illness affecting infants can be caused by water in high in nitrate concentrations. According to the State of Louisiana Sanitary Code, Section 13004-2, no component of a community-type sewage system or individual sewage system shall be installed where contamination of a groundwater supply may occur. In no case shall component parts of a community-type sewage system or an individual disposal system be located within 50 feet of any well, spring, or other water supply structure. Is not the aquifer a water supply structure? Is the new site an improvement over the old existing site? I really don't think so. It is in the CA soil type, which according to the Soil Survey of Paintsville Hall Parish, Louisiana, Table 11 sanitary facilities, the rating is severe. Soil properties or site features are so unfavorable or so difficult to overcome that special design, significant increase in construction costs, and possibly increased maintenance are required. Excessive seepage due to rapid permeability of the soil or a water table that is highly permeable enough to raise the level of sewage in the lagoon, causing a lagoon to function unsatisfactorily. Pollution results if seepage is excessive or if floodwaters overtop the lagoon. The site is still partly in the 100-year floodplain. The site also has a highly permeable soil material and a high water table. My final comments concern the request for the Environmental Information Form 0575-0094 dated 3/24/93 and also 7/1/93. On the form, many of the land uses of environmental resources either to be affected by the proposed or located within or adjacent to the project site. The following, I believe, should not have answers no. Residential. There are families that reside in the adjacent properties. Grazing. There are cattle that feed on grass on the grass and adjacent properties. Wetlands. There are pockets of wetlands on the site. Commercial. There are several greenhouses on an adjacent property. Agricultural. Many of the property owners have gardens for their family's needs, and there are some who grow fruits and vegetables for sale. Air quality. A quote from the paper itself. There will be no emissions. It is possible that there will be odor, and odor is defined as emitting a scent. It's an emission. Water quality. There are wells in the adjacent area. Something has been overlooked. The wildlife have been recognized in the paperwork, but not the people. There seems to be a total disregard to the families that live in the area. In the paperwork, they have been deemed invisible. It has been denied that they reside, do business, have gardens, can detect odor, and have wells. It's time to stop denying them of their humanity. Thank you very much. And I request an extension for the getting written information in, and I would like to get some more information too.
Did you say you wanted to leave that here?
Yes.
Let's take five and just drop them off the end of the day. Mr. Nick Genova. My name is Nick Genova. I live on Casey Road, approximately 700 feet from the proposed site. I'm asking the DEQ for a 60-day extension on the written comment period. I am for upgrading the existing pond in order to improve independent sewage problem and clean up the Tangipahoa River. From information we've gathered, the new Casey Road proposed site is not any better suited than the land adjacent to the existing facility. If the upgrading of the existing facility is not possible, I believe a new site should be selected. Proposed site has everything we were told they were moving away from the old site: wetlands, floodplain, aquifer. We have heard many reasons why the existing site and observation pond cannot be upgraded. We have heard equal, if not more, reasons why town officials paid $30,000 for a proposed site, which at tops is only worth $10,000. Every time we find one reason isn't true regarding the possible upgrade, we are given another. As for the two excavations that were supposedly made sometime in March, letter from Mr. L. Johnny Oakland, Contratrain Engineering and Surveyors Incorporated, to Bruce Boardlaw, Farmers Home Administration, why haven't we seen the paperwork on those two excavations? It is documented anywhere. Why would fiscally responsible town officials and/or an engineering firm move only about 1,000 feet away without first testing the soil to see if the new proposed Casey Road site is more suitable? After the aquifer, the wetland, for the aquifer, the wetlands, the 100-year floodplain, the adverse soil conditions, all of these exist on the proposed site, which was purchased with taxpayers' hard-earned money for an outrageous amount. We know no land in Independence is worth 10,000 acres outside of city limits. We also know on as early as March 22nd, 1993, Mayor Damiano sent a letter of intention to purchase the land from Mr. Ragusa. At this time, no other property owner or residents on Casey Road was notified, nor was the proposed site noticed in the paper. We feel residents and property owners on and surrounding Casey Road were not properly notified. In fact, many were not even told what was going on. In our group of concerned citizens, we do not know anyone who is mad because their land wasn't purchased. They were mad and upset that they were not properly notified and unable to speak freely at town meetings. The real question here is whether or not the procedures and requirements for HUD acquisition of real property were followed. We don't think so. Unless Mr. Ragusa received this book, we do not know anyone else who did. HUD procedure states that it should be handed out. We know one landowner who was approached to sell, but was not given the reason why the town wanted to purchase land. This is not HUD procedure. Another man clear-cut his land to sell it to the town. The town officials had not even contacted him to let him know they did not intend to purchase his land. This is not HUD procedure. The mayor selected certain people to approach for land acquisition, leaving others without the opportunity to sell.
Again, not HUD procedure. HUD and the DOA policy and procedures call for citizens' participation, real participation, not mock. We challenge the town officials to prove how they include the people that stand to be impacted the most by this proposal. We feel the site was purposely selected and chosen, as well as people and landowners on the surrounding Casey Road were denied real citizen participation. We further feel this area was cited because more people are low-income families. We feel this is an environmental injustice. Concerned citizens request help from DEQ, new environmental justice program because we feel that the DOA, particularly HUD procedures and requirements, well as policies, were not followed. We therefore request that the DEQ deny permit for this proposal. Thank you.
Kelly Genova.
My name is Kelly Genova, and I live at 53329 Casey Road. Soil testing engineers performed 3 soil borings on the site of the proposed wastewater treatment plant in February 1994. These borings demonstrated that the proposed site is not appropriate for the location of a wastewater treatment facility. The groundwater is at or just below the surface of the ground, and the subsurface strata is coarse sand with gravel 6 to 9 feet below the surface. Any leakage of wastewater will have an immediate impact on the groundwater in the area. One boring encountered groundwater at 6 feet. The other 2 borings were performed in areas where standing water was at the ground surface. The first boring encountered medium to coarse sand with gravel 6 feet below the ground surface. Borings 2 and 3 encountered sand at 9 feet from the surface. In an apparent effort to protect the very shallow groundwater, a 60 mil high-density polyethylene geomembrane liner is proposed. Such liners will eventually crack and degrade and allow leaking wastewater to come in contact with the shallow groundwater. All liners leak, it is just a matter of time. Most liners are not one continual sheet, they are pieced together at the site and heavy equipment is used to install them. The liners have pinhole leaks at the time they are installed. From the time of installation, the integrity of the liners begins to degrade. Will there be monitoring wells and leak detection systems on the liner? According to the EPA's seminal publication, Wellhead Protection, a guide for small communities, dated February 1993, even liners can leak. Thus, even with a 60 mil liner, the proposed location is not appropriate for the construction of a wastewater treatment facility. Please deny the permit for the facility due to the inappropriate location. Thank you.
Nick Shiro.
Ladies and gentlemen, and members of the DEQ. My name is Nick Stiro, a resident of Cason Road, 53243 Cason Road, for 60 years, over 60 years. I live 3/8 of a mile from the proposed new site for the town treatment plant. I did not know about this treatment plant until my neighbors came by with a petition to be signed against this site. We as a group attended a town meeting to present the mayor and all this petition. And could barely do so, for we were not allowed to speak. My cousin and I were almost thrown out of the meeting. I guess we did cause a little disturbance, I don't know. Anyway, I see Dr. Genovese over here to speak for this proposal. And at a later meeting, town meeting, he brought to the mayor's attention the cost of such a project. And it would be too expensive. It would be better served to upgrade the present system. And he went a little further than that. I got another sentence, but I'm not going to make that statement. He knows what I'm talking about. It seems to be a tradition for mayors and independents, past and present, to locate their dumps and sewer systems on Cason Road. Our Blacktop Road was torn up the last time they put on the sewer system, and was never repaired, neither by the town or neither by the parish officials. To this day, they haven't repair. Still torn up, you go back today and it's still torn up. This is astounding that once more the site for proposed new plant was bought on Cason Road at 3 times the price, the value price per acre of land in this area. Building this plant on this site will cause property values to go down in our neighborhood, and we don't need that. We have been environmentally discriminated against for years. The mayor said he could not find any other land for sale, but I know that's not a fact. He couldn't. Living conditions for the neighborhood will be affected by the new plant. This does not make sense when we have an existing facility that can be improved and upgraded, as was done in Ponchatoula and in Kitwood for $460,000, and they meet for $200,000 to meet the DEQ's requirement for water quality. At the same time, save residents of Independence money on their sewer bills. Independence will spend as much money as the rest of the parish communities combined to build this oversized treatment plant. Why not upgrade the existing plant, saving money and pleasing the people that live there? Number one, the proposed site is located outside of the city limits. They ought to put it inside. It floods. It's partly a wetland and could become a health hazard to the people living on Cason Road. If this new plant is built, the cost to operate and upkeep this treatment plant will be prohibitive. And the old system is the old system to be abandoned and possibly become a hazardous dump, because we have some people like that that really love to dump their stuff on trash on our road. Let me see if I can find my place here now. What effect will the new plant have on groundwater, which is only 6 feet from the surface, and the quality of air? In spite of what the engineers say, this is not a proven treatment facility. The plastic liner will probably fail in a couple of years. I am for clean water to flow into our rivers. I also want clean water to drink, and I want clean air to breathe. In closing, I would like to ask for a 60-day extension for written comments we want to make. Also to deny the permit. Thank you very much.
Linda DePhillips.
About 1,200 feet from the proposed site for the sewage treatment system. We didn't know when we bought our property 2 years ago that there was a controversy on Casey Road. If so, we would not have bought property there. But now that there is a sewage treatment system has a proposed site on Casey Road, we are concerned of the location. We are concerned for the health and welfare of our children and our grandchildren. We are concerned for the Tangipahoa River. We are for independence cleaning up the Tangipahoa River, but we don't understand why the town of Independence cannot and will not upgrade the existing site, the other surrounding areas have. I understand that the new proposed site is wetlands and has a natural water flow and also floods. I also understand that we have no guarantees for our property. Who cares what the people on Casey Road? The town of Independence does, and they don't care to hear what we have to say. The parish doesn't, because there is no zoning. So we ask the DEQ if you would help us with this problem. We request a 60-day extension on the written comment period. Also, we request that the DEQ denies the permit for the proposed site. Thank you.
Sarah Bedros.
My name is Sarah Bedros. I have lived on Clayton Road for the last 16 years of my life. I live with my parents and my home is less than 100 feet away from the proposed site. This site holds water and when it floods back here, the site is underwater. Part of the site is the 100-year floodplain. Part of it is wetland. The soil tests show how poor the site is for this type of facility. These are some of the reasons why the engineers moved from the other site. The only thing different is taxpayers pay $30,000 for the site. I request that the DEQ deny the permit for this proposal. Please give a 60-day extension on this written comment period. Thank you.
Amanda Bedros.
My name is Amanda Bedros. I live on Casey Road for 16 years. My home is located less than 150 feet from the pole site. The existing occupation pond is located in the back of my home. The DEQ already knows the town official had a history of not keeping up the existing pond. This is always a nuisance to have a sewer system in view of my front door to make me sick. Just the thought of living between two of them is frightening. I have lost plenty of sleep over this. I've been to several agents as well as DEQ. I had asked the DEQ to help us with their environment judgment program. We are mostly low-income families right here. The town officials knew as early as March of 1993 that they wanted to purchase a post site. They made no attempt to let me know anything about this until the fall. It looked like the mayor only wanted to the people he knows would not sell. Our Karen Council had a letter had Karen to mayor on December 14, 1993, asking him not to purchase the land. I was told most of the aldermen said did not even see this letter. The town officials will let us speak, won't let us speak at the meeting because we live outside the city limits. At that so-called public hearing, you were limited to ask questions about the occupation pond and the new proposed system owners. You could ask about another site choice or anything about the land they bought for the whole site. We never did see any attempt by town officials to notify or work with us. The engineer firm held a meeting on March the 17th, 1994 for the three town people, but we would not let anyone from our area go. They used federal tax dollars to purchase this land, without even testing the soil first. They told us they wanted to get out of the 100-year flood, zone and the wetlands. We don't know that part of the land is over 100-year-old zone and part of it is wetland. Why could they look at this book and map and see these things? We were able to, and none of us are engineers. We are for upgrading of occupation pond, and that can be done. They need to find a better site. We want the river clean, but we feel this environment judgment and request that the DEQ not issue a permit on this proposal. Please consent to written comment period until November 21st, none opposed. Thank you.
Mr. Charlie Tate.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charlie Tate. I live on Old Keystone Road, and I've been around Independence a long time. I bought this property over there now, which is less than 80 feet from where the site is, right across from my place. And I feel that it was not all approaches looked at for the reason of I was not approached or talked to about selling my property. Not that I would have, or maybe I would have. But neither way I was approached. So found this out after about an hour I thought it, and he told me where you live, he didn't know where I lived. So I know everything wasn't checked out. My property does tie right back into the adjacent pond that's there right now. And I feel like everybody else is here, that anybody would not want this out in front of the place. I don't think nobody would stand up and say, yeah, I want it in front of the house. I know they wouldn't. I do believe that with the money that they are getting in their grants and stuff, that they could upgrade this facility that they have now with no problem. They got no fences around it, nothing else. My children got 6 kids. They come over. You got to watch them. They don't go back there by the sewage pond and call in this, that, and other. And there's never been no protection around that area. We got a few post signs along the city of Independence, but it makes me wonder what are they going to do if they get this through. And they're not even thinking of the people on Old Keystone Road. I went to the meetings. I was told, you don't live in the city limits. You have no voice here. So what am I doing here anyway? That's what I said. So I left. There's no use for me to spend my time talking to people that don't care what I say anyway. I feel that with all the issues that's going on nowadays with pollution, the river is one of my big concerns. I love to fish. I love to swim. And I love to hunt and stuff. And the river is being polluted very badly in this area. I've lived there all my life. And I feel it does need to be looked into very well. And where they're proposing to put this, I'm just a country boy, but I ain't never willow trees growing there. I mean, that tells me it's wetlands, I don't have to be an engineer to see that. I played in mud puddles when I was a kid and all, and I know what it's about. And I don't believe, I got a swimming pool, it's got a line, it ain't as thick as theirs, but I see weeds grow through it. You're not going to stop plastic. Plastic, you're going to have problems with it. And even when they put it down, who's overseeing this and that and other, who's being paid off or whatever, if they are, I ain't saying they will be. Things going to happen. Plastic is not going to last. I believe they can upgrade this system by, as a lot of people say, block off one area, this and that and other. They've got more land there that they can extend to a degree, I'm sure. But I feel that with the environmental and the situation of pollution, of water, pipes and stuff that are running there, existing wells as well, gardens and all that, I do feel it is a threat. Okay, we're looking at 20 years from now. 20 years from now I may be dead. 20 years from now my kids may be dead or whatever. So we have to look into the future also, and we do know these things will not last for a period of time like that. And like I say, I move that they will let us have 60 days to have written letters and comments come in and stuff, and maybe we can get something else done, because I know there can be another place, this place, this pond. Thank you.
Mr. Larry Tausch, T-A-U-S-C-H. I don't know if I can ask that. How do you know? Tausch.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Larry Tosh. I reside at 18072 Hickory Ridge Trail in Naranja. I'd like to address an area of this discussion that has not, I don't believe, even been considered. I'm an amateur archaeologist, and as y'all probably realize, Indians have been in this area for several thousand years. And there are sites in Louisiana, such as Marksville and Poverty Point and Avery Island, that have been studied and have extensive amounts of data for them. But other areas of the state, including the Florida parishes here, have not had the studies done. Now, I know that in the past,
when there was more farming done in this area, there was a great number of artifacts found within 1,000 feet of this proposed site. Now, this is a sample of the type of artifacts that come from around here. Now, the number of artifacts found in this area was extensive. It would fill shoeboxes. And what I'm saying is that with that number of artifacts coming out of one area, this is not just a casual hunting site or a casual campsite. This represents a habitation site. Now, since we don't know that much about the archaeology of this area, it's imperative that when we have a habitation site, that we locate it, we locate the perimeters of it, and if any of this site is in danger of being destroyed by construction, that we must have it surveyed and studied prior to the destruction. Now, I'd like to make one final point here. Unlike written words, when we look at a habitation site, we're looking at pages of history. And we can read these pages with a shovel and a whisk broom and a trowel, or we can read them with a bulldozer and a backhoe. But either way we do it, we only have the opportunity to read this story once. So if this property is going to be used, I implore the people that are working in here to establish where this site is and be sure that it is not on the property that is in question. Thank you.
Mr. Peter Davis.
My name is Peter Davis. I live at 53280 Cason Road. I bought my property on June 22nd, 1973, outside the city limits of Independence for an investment and home site to raise my family. We moved on Cason Road December 13, 1974. I did not get or read the newspaper and only found out about the proposed sewer treatment plant on Cason Road near my home on December 14, 1993, when a petition was brought around by my neighbors. My wife is ill. She was treated so poorly at the so-called public meeting the town officials held. She wouldn't take a chance of coming here. I have a well to water my small garden. I am concerned with my property and a path of natural drainage about the possibility of any pollution from the proposed sewer plant will contaminate my food, making it unfit for human consumption. If not now, in time to come. As for my property investment, I feel like this proposal will surely cause my property value to go down. I have never heard of a sewer plant located by people's home being a selling point. This may not be important to you, but who's going to buy my home? I am for cleaning up the Tangipahoa River so they could be fishing, swimming, and tubing again. But the city of Independence should clean and upgrade their existing pond site and not pollute more land with a new site that will cost the taxpayers more money. The city residents will be made to pay for 40 years for this proposal. I don't see how the city officials have the power to dictate to parish residents without the parish residents being able to vote them out of office. I believe everyone has heard of the Boston Tea Party. How can a parish official not have the authority to help the people they represent? Who is representing and responsible for our well-being, our property, and environment of our environment? When the town officials held a so-called public hearing on January 4, 1994, to so-called notify the residents of Casey Road what they were doing. We, the residents of Casey Road, could not say anything without being told that it was not important since we lived out of town. I asked a question that I understood the approval was already given by the DEQ and so forth. I also stated that the meeting was eyewash and a proposed grant. The plant is going to be shoved down our throat no matter what we say. One of the officials replied, "That's right." Well, we can't vote the city officials out of office, but we can sure vote state, federal, and parish officers who condone this proposed sewer plant that will cost the taxpayers more. So we will see you at the polls. I feel from what our group has discovered, I'd require a citizen who will be implicated or impacted by it properly notified and informed. This did not happen. I request the DEQ deny a permit and extend a written comment period for 60 days since the DHH has not been notified. Thank you for your listless time.
Reggie, is it McIntyre?
That's right. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. My name is Reggie McIntyre. I'm the town attorney for Independence, Louisiana. I have a letter here about the town which I want to submit to you, which was drawn up in conjunction with the town, the engineers. It's a very short letter regarding this matter. I've been sitting here listening to everybody. I think I've been listening to the same arguments and misinformation, malinformation, no information, disinformation since November and December of last year. I believe that the DEQ, the FHA, the Division of Administration has just about everything that the engineers have done regarding this project. I believe that this thing's been going on in Independence since 1988, trying to develop a system, trying to get it right, trying to make sure that Independence, as long as it will follow the other towns throughout the parish, and bringing their system up to date. Everything flows through to the Tangipahoa River. I think everyone here realizes that each town along the river has always used the river, which is Tangipahoa's mother of waters. This is our claim to fame, really, is Tangipahoa River. We all love it. We all grew up on it. Most of us learned to swim on the Tangipahoa River. Most of us would like to get back to the Tangipahoa River, and that's what we're trying to do. Ponchatoula, Hammond, Amy, Roseland, Tickfall, Kentwood, all have systems, except for maybe Hammond. All the rest of them have systems which either flow into tributaries or streams that go into the Tangipahoa River. Hammond flows, I think, towards Lake Marlborough. So they want to clean their systems up. The old system in Independence, which is old, it is a pond. It's a 12-acre pond. I think y'all know about that. It's been presented to y'all. It is not finished. It is a horrible pond. For its purpose years ago, it probably served some type of purpose. But today it does not serve that purpose. It is in a bad part of the, whatever they're talking about, it's in a bad area. So in order to upgrade, engineers and the city and their officials went all around that area to try to find another area, another place where they can put a small, compact, enclosed, gated, fenced, with a liner to do away with this 12-acre pond. My home, which is outside east of Hammond, was right across the street from a 20-acre pond, sewer pond. I lived there for 15 years before they did away from that pond. Of course, they went out and people were out fishing in that pond and everything, but it was the same type of pond that they're talking about now. And when they closed it down, they drained it, they checked it out. Now there are 2 homes where that pond used to be. Okay? I mean, that's fact. This is not anything. Everything that we've heard so far is speculation. What may happen in the future? What may happen if this liner breaks and everything seeps down through the liner and hits the aquifers, hits the water tables, hits the Ponchatoula aquifer, which is 15 miles from where this is? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could happen. I'm not saying that this type of thing cannot happen. But that's anyway. That's at any type of sewer treatment facility. Man brought in something about a dump area in Ascension Parish across the river. We all know that there are special regulations for dumps. Hammond closed their dump down because there were so many regulations on that, so many sites that could be better, so many requirements that have to look into much more than a small sewer treatment plant. Hammond's got 3 or 4 sewer treatment plants. They're right in the middle of town. They just put one in which because of Winn-Dixie, has a horrible odor. Because Winn-Dixie's doing their milk processing and everything goes in. The Winn-Dixie built that. Okay? Well, you know, I'm not saying this won't have, I don't know anything about odor. The engineers have looked into that. They're not going to say that it won't. They're going to do the best that they can not to have an odor. But to me, that is probably the worst that can happen at this plant, is there may be an odor. But you've got a 12-acre open pond closer to many of these residents than this project will be. And this is going to be a very compact project. It's going to be fenced. It's going to be monitored. It's going to be watched. And I don't think y'all are here to listen to what the property costs, to what the project's going to cost. That's not y'all's function. Y'all's function, and I shouldn't say what y'all's function is, because y'all know more about that than I do. But I believe that the function and the responsibility of everyone here is to present something to y'all to show that this is the best area that it could be put. That everything has been done possibly, to do away with any fears that something will go wrong in the future. As it stands right now, nothing is going wrong. As it stands right now, the only thing that's happened out there is that a piece of property was purchased which inflates their property value, which increases their property values out there. And I wasn't there, but the other people that were there, they went out and talked with these people and asked them, well, do you have a piece of property to sell? One man wanted $60,000 for his property. One lady said, why don't you buy my property? Why'd you buy this property? So these were things that were talked about at that time. Well, I guess they can only buy one piece of property. And this was the piece of property that they bought. All I can say is that time is of the essence. Time has been of the essence since 1988. The city or the town of Independence needs to go on with it. Parish of Tansborough needs to go on. The river needs to go on with it. Everything has to go on because the town, its officials, its engineers, its experts have gone out there, they've looked at every possible site and possibility, and this is the site that they came up with. Thank you very much, and I wish, that we could go on with it and not extend this thing for another 60 days. It needs to be reviewed. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I will present this.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. I'd like to end the table. At this time, I think we might take like a 10-minute break, and then we'll get back and continue. Dean?
Hello, I'm Dr. Charles Kennedy. My office is at 100 East Railroad Avenue in Independence. I first got involved in this situation when I was approached by some of the opposition and decided to jump full force into the storm it might be. I did some investigation, I used some of the information that they had, and my wife, whom you know, was an advisor to me for some of the engineering involved in the system. We looked at some of the information on the existing pond, and I couldn't see at that point in time why the existing pond couldn't be upgraded. We talked about such terms, and of course you know, rock reef filters, multiple cells in the same pond, adjacent ponds, chlorination, UV disinfection. I went to the town meeting and brought some of these issues up, and I was invited by the town, and in fact, Tony Anselm and I, Tony can't be here tonight, and I'm also speaking for him, were appointed by the town to be to go meet with the engineers and go over all the information that we had, and this was from a scientific basis. And we did that. Now, what I expected was not what I found. When we met with the engineers, I expected opposition, BS, snow job. That was not what I found. What I found was engineers who had been working on this problem since 1988. It turned out they had already written proposals that used exactly the same things that we had suggested. They showed us the proposals, and they showed us the letters from the government agencies that explained why those proposals were not acceptable. They explained why the pond could not be lined. It had to do with 30 or 40 years worth of sediment that could not be brought up. They explained and why the liner would float if it was attempted to be put down in that pond. They explained why a levee that was mandated to be put around that pond would not only take up too much area, but how much dirt would be involved and what the cost would be. We also went over the permeability of the soil, for instance, which was mentioned before. All the soil in that area is the same soil. So we talked about all of those things, all the things that everybody has talked about that are problems, and why that plant couldn't be upgraded for way more than they're going to need to spend on a new pond. It can't be done, and that's the reason they're not doing it. They wanted to do it that way. They thought it could be more cost effective, and government agencies who set the standards said, you can't do it there, not at any reasonable amount of cost. So then we discussed the new plant. Now, I've discussed this plant with several other engineers, in addition to the ones that are here tonight. There is no question in anybody's mind that the plant they are planning to build is state-of-the-art. There is no better plant anywhere. The plant that they are building will meet all water quality standards, not only now, but all the ones that they're planning on proposing possibly in the future. Now, the neighbors, I understand the neighbors' concern. They don't want it in their neighborhood. I think they envision a smelling, bubbling cauldron that will flood onto their property, and anything that it will touch will immediately be dissolved. How toxic is living next to this plant? In Hammond, they're presently building a 200 apartment complex a few hundred feet from the plant that's there now. I pass by that plant frequently. There is no odor. I'm not saying there never will be any odor, but there almost never is any. Now, another thing that's been brought up is what the cost would be for this plant. Well, we talked about that at length too, and none of the innuendo and none of the, their concerns were around. We talked about how is the cost managed, and how much it's going to cost everybody. Well, it's going to cost everybody about $10 extra per month that lives in Independence. I don't think that's going to make anybody go bankrupt. How was that amount arrived? Well, it was actually arrived by figuring that the people in Independence could afford $10 extra a month. And I think that's important for everybody here who's in opposition. It was figured that they could afford $10 extra a month, and then they multiply that times the number of people in town, and they multiply that times 40 years worth of payments. and they figured that the town of Independence could therefore support about $750,000. And that was the total amount that the town would have to borrow, and the government would grant anything above that, the HUD grant. So it was figured in that direction. And I might add, it was also pointed out that all the other towns in the area were figured based on that same thing to pay more than $10 a month. So they figured the people in Independence were pretty poor and gave them a break. So that's where that amount came from. It doesn't matter how much the pond actually costs over the $750,000 that that amount would be given. I ask, after having gone through all this, that you go ahead and approve this pond. I think the river needs it. I think it'd be nice to have a state-of-the-art facility treating the wastewater in the town of Independence. And one other last thing, as regards to where to put this pond, once it was decided that the pond could not go, the present pond could not be repaired, you can't just put the plant in South America. It has to be somewhere between the town of Independence and the river. There is no other way to do it. Otherwise, you have to build, I mean, if you put it way off to the side, you have to build a lot of lift stations to move the sewage in that direction. It sort of has to go in a downhill slide. So it had to be somewhere in that area. Then it was just a matter of finding somebody who would sell the property, the right amount of property. And it's unfortunate it's next to all the people that live in that neighborhood, but it has to go somewhere. And I think we have a site. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. John J. Polico, Sr.
I reserve my comment.
All right, for the record, what was that you said, sir?
I reserve my comment.
You reserve your comments till later? Ms. Asa Johnson. For the record, is Ms. Asa Johnson here? She is not here. Pass on that. Ramona Stevens. No one answers to that name. Oh, I'm sorry, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm just doing 2 jobs.
Okay.
My name is Ramona Stevens, and I am here representing Louisiana Environmental Action Network, also known as LEAN. LEAN is a statewide environmental group comprised of groups and individuals as members. Concerned Community Citizens of Independence is a member group of LEAN. We've been working with them for quite a while now, trying to figure out what's going on and trying to disseminate the information about the Independence Sewage Treatment Plant. According to DQ Records of Communication dated December 17, 1993, it appears to indicate that the most recent proposed site is in the 100-year flood zone. It appears that the pond and the levees will be under the 100-year flood zone. December 29, 1993, solid waste regulations prohibit the construction of a facility in a flood zone unless the facility is protected from runoff of flood waters. And this is a record of communication phone call dated December 29, 1993. According to the fiscal year 1992-1993 Louisiana Community Development Block Grant Program Application Package, on pages 15 and 16, on page 16 it states, the concurrent notice must also be distributed to appropriate state and federal agencies, particularly to the national and regional offices of the Environmental Protection Agency and FEMA. It appears that the applicant did not send the required notices to EPA and FEMA. In the January 4th, 1994 redistricted public hearing that the town of Independence held, citizens were led to believe that the new proposed Casing Road site was not in the 100-year flood zone. According to the revised April 27, 1993 preliminary engineering report prepared by Pontchartrain Engineers and Surveyors Incorporated, page 17 states, The proposed site poses no environmental problems and is located out of the 100-year flood and designated wetland area. According to the appraisal report conducted for the proposed site by Mr. Matthew Jr., the flood insurance rate map indicates that the property is located in C-zone area. C-zone area denotes properties located outside the 100-year flood zone. We're getting conflicting information about this. When you look at the map, by what we've been able to determine in looking at a current updated map, this site, portions of it are in the flood zone. According to the DOA statutory checklist dated 8/26/93, floodplain management review required. And they stated, under provide compliance documentation, that the floodplain process followed building official contacted on firm map panel 125 on 9/18/91. Ms. Darlene Genova wrote several letters to Mr. Buncardi, and he states that he was never contacted concerning this matter, and he did not give this designation. According to DOA Environmental Assessment Checklist dated 5/18/93, floodplains, no impact anticipated. And they stated that the parish building inspector checked a firm map panel 125 of map dated 9/18/93. This appears to be a typographical error. According to Farmers Home Form 1940-20, Position 3, Request for Environmental Information dated 7/1/93, flood information states yes. Since there are so many questionable inquiries that were made for flood information, we request proof that a flood management plan was conducted. Is a flood permit needed? Gentlemen and ladies, these are engineers and appraisers. Why is there so much confusion? Most lay people can look at these maps and see that this proposed site is in a flood zone, part of it being in the 100-year flood zone. Between Lean and CCCI, we have found and reviewed three Farmers Home forms, 1940-20, Position 3, Request for Environmental Information, dated 10/18/90, 5/13/93, and 7/1/93, and they have conflicting information. There's one Farmers Home Environmental Assessment dated 8/19/93, and there's two DOA statutory checklists dated 5/18/93 and 8/26/93 with conflicting information. And there's a DOA environmental assessment dated 5/18/93. We believe the applicant did not notify EPA and FEMA as required by the Division of Administration. It is of our opinion that we believe that several people may have purposely documented misleading information, as well as possibly falsifying information regarding flood zones on this proposed site. As Lean members, citizens in the area that stand to be adversely impacted by this proposal, we feel they have been lied to, misled, and denied participation in town discussions regarding this proposal. We respectfully request that the DEQ look closely at the paperwork and the concerns of these citizens. We further request the comment period extension. In looking through these documents and trying to get them all, I almost need a filing cabinet just for this one site. Things keep changing so much. And in going through some of this stuff, there's a letter to Ms. Donna Ramirez, Division of Administration, Community Development Section. And this letter was written by Mr. John Dardis, the project consultant for Zaddy and Associates. The last paragraph states that please also note that the target area is the whole town of Independence, which is why the town map shows no special target area. The target area is in a non-attainment area in accordance with DEQ air quality section. Now, as far as I know, Tangipahoa Parish has never, ever been in non-attainment. Livingston has and still is. Ascension is. There was a 7-parish area of non-attainment. 1 parish was dropped off. Tangipahoa was never in it. It makes me wonder if statements like this are going on, what else is going on that's not correct and is misleading and false information. Several attempts were made to have Mr. Van Green tell us what he was requesting in a statement he wrote to Mr. O'Clan. And I quote, "Additionally, an environmental impact statement must be requested by the town of Independence for the new site." End quote.
Hold on a second, so
Okay. We finally discovered that the DEQ was telling the town of Independence that they did not have a letter of no objection from DEQ. In fact, the letter advising the town that they could continue with the project as proposed is dated May 18, 1994. This is 3 months after the town submitted their February 4, 1994 application, in which they answered to question number 1 on the environmental impact questionnaire the following. All cognizant state and federal agencies were contacted for their comments on project and all issued letters of no objection. The DEQ letter on clearance on May 18, 1994 shows that the town did not have the DEQ's approval for the final site selection when the town submitted their application in February. As far as closing out the existing oxidation pond, we're seeing different conflicting stories once again. At one point, you see that they're going to close out the pond, and they're going to spend $50,000 on it. Now, that's what allowed for the abandonment of the existing 12-acre oxidation pond. We have seen several different pieces of correspondence which describes different ways of closing out the pond. We have never seen any specific plans. First, we were told they would return the pond and site to wetlands. In March, we were told they planned to let it digest itself out. There's a letter dated June 23, 1993 from Mr. Jarvis Engineering Firm to Donna Ramirez, and it states, the 20 acres of existing oxidation pond will be drained, leveled, and returned to its natural state. Page 4 of the revised preliminary report dated April 27, 1993 states a closure plan for the existing oxidation pond will be submitted to EPA, DEQ, and the Corps of Engineers. We have been to both DEQ and the Corps. The EPA has mailed us the information that it has. We cannot find the closure plan. Page 100 of the DOA Environmental Assessment Checklist states old oxidation pond must be properly closed out. Number 1 on the Farmer's Home Environmental Assessment for Class 2 action states that this treatment plant must be closed in accordance with DEQ regulations and will be graded back to its original state and monitored. Just what are they going to do with the pond if they don't upgrade it? We know it cannot be turned into wetlands for $50,000. Will it be left there to just digest itself out? What are they planning to do with the $50,000? If this was just a figure they pulled out of the air, what is it based on? And how do they know it will take $50,000 if there is no plan? What's happening? There's too many conflicting stories with this proposal. Lane formally requests a comment period extension of 60 days. We will be submitting formal written comments. There's a lot of things going on here. Y'all need to look into it a lot more closely and tell us what's going on, because there's too many different reports and too many different things. And I've heard DEQ state on previous occasions that the IT questions do not apply to existing facilities. Well, that's not true. They do apply to every environmental permit that a state governmental agency issues, whether it's an existing facility or not. Now, if this plan, as it it's proposed with a new facility, the IT questions definitely apply, and they should not be allowed to answer them with yes/no answers. That doesn't get it. We need more information. Y'all need more information. Please deny this permit.
Mr. Damiano.
My name is Philip Damian. I'm the mayor of Independence. How y'all doing? I'm here tonight. You all heard about the most of it. Like y'all know, we started this project in 1988, trying to get a project going to upgrade the rivers and all this. The town has, and myself, have done everything possible to work with the DEQ, the Division of Administration, the EPA, and FHA to make everything right. As far as the citizens opposing this pond, look at the records. At my knowledge, we have looked at everything that could be looked at. We spend time with the Division of Administration for approximately one time is 6 hours. And Mr. Herman Gutmann's office, they've been to FHA, I think they've been to Depository Engineers, they've been to City Hall. We have nothing to hide. We have a good, clean project. We are here to do what's right and what's best for the community. As far as the cost, that's the way it is. Things are up. It's a $2 million project. We want to receive $1.2 million in grant, and the rest of it will be a balance money borrowed from FHA. That's where the $10 comes per month fee for residents. That would be the lowest fee, I think, in the parish. Like I said, we have a good project here. Everybody's been notified. We've had our public hearings. And I'm asking the DEQ not to delay this project for 60 days, to present the town within 10 days, a yea or no for this permit. If it's been delayed too long. Thank you.
Earlier, Ms. Genova requested additional time. Everyone has been given an opportunity to speak. Are there any additional comments from individuals who have not spoken before?
This lady wants to just present a letter to y'all, and if she can read the letter, I'll just present it to y'all.
That's fine. Ma'am, would you come up to the microphone and say your name?
My name is Ann D. Simone. I live at 510 West Fifth Street, Independence. I'd like to make a statement, it's a letter, and I'd like to submit this to you for the record. As a resident of the town of Independence, I submit to you this letter stating that I unequivocally and absolutely agree with the building of a new sewage treatment plant to replace the present wastewater treatment facility, which has been found to be inadequate of meeting discharge limits. Independence must keep in step and take its place in the community with the rapid changes that are taking place to seek out the best possible system to maintain an orderly plan in the world today. We can no longer delay the construction of the new plant for the town of Independence. In doing so, this will allow Independence to take its place with the neighboring communities in rendering the proper services for its residents. In closing, I ask that the Department of Environmental Quality grant and issue a Louisiana water discharge permit to the town of Independence before fund grants expire, and that construction begin of the wastewater treatment plant as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is that letter right at the end of the table there. Are there any other comments from individuals who have not spoken up until this time? All right, Mr. Miller, you have some additional comments?
Someone with glasses.
Cheers.
I was told by the court reporter that I spoke too fast last time, and that I missed the point that we weren't limited to 5 minutes. I said, oh, I'm trying to get you in 5 minutes. We have quite a lot of information to share with you. And as you can see, several of our members and several of the residents have struggled through their presentations. So I hope you'll bear with us. I find it very hard to understand why the attorney and the mayor have a problem with an extension on the written comment period, when in fact the plans and specifications to this proposal for the facility itself has not even been submitted to the Department of Health and Hospitals for their review. Something is not right here. When we went to the Department of, and by the way, I didn't spend 6 hours at the Division of Administration, and we've never been to the Country Train Engineers, we were not allowed at that meeting. When we made a trip to the Department DEQ, after the permit was submitted, we were told that to go down there, this was after the environmental justice hearing that I attended, to get a copy of this permit application. And in going there, Mr. Van Green came in, and we were looking through, and we asked to see what report was submitted with that application. And he went in his office and he came back with this report. This is a copy of it. And when I proceeded to look at the report, I said, Mr. Van Green, I said, this is dated 1990. He said, yes, ma'am, I know they made a mistake. I said, in February of 94, with all controversy, they sent in a 1990 report. They made a mistake. Yes, ma'am, that's what they said. So then I had to ask Mr. Van Green. He said, but they've corrected it since then. It's been corrected, and we have a new one. I had to ask to see the new one. He didn't bring it out the first time with this one. He went back to his office, and he brought this report out. I'll never forget my first reaction. And he probably won't either. I said, excuse me? They made a mistake. They submitted this in place of this. And he said, well, that's what they said, Mr. Miller. Something to that effect, he said. This is an accumulation of everything that's happened over the years. Well, I do believe it's an accumulation. And I do believe this could have possibly been a mistake. We all make mistakes. But I can tell you, in looking at this, there is a series of mistakes as far as I'm concerned, and we need you to look at this very closely. This is going to be something we're going to actually live with for the rest of our lives. I'd like to talk to you about, I have two really main issues. I don't know how much time you allow me, but at least two really main issues. One of them being the Corps of Engineers' new determination of the site containing wetlands. This page kind of talks about that, the wildlife district, and the fact that we feel that environmental assessment and environmental review for both the Division of Administration and Queensland need to be resolved. According to the 1992-1993 Louisiana Community Development Block Grant Program package, the applicant was provided with this form that said that they were going to have to use, you will be provided a copy of 24 CFR Report 58 and other handouts which contain environmental regulations. Please refer to 24 CFR Report 58.5 for laws and authority pertaining to the above areas. According to 24 CFR Report 58, the Department of Housing and Urban Development revises of June 7, 1984, CFR 5847, reevaluation of assessment findings on page 78, says a recipient must reevaluate an EA finding when, and it goes on to tell you ABC when it has to be done. When an alternate site selection is considered in the original EA, the purpose of the reevaluation is to determine if the FONSI is still valid. If the FONSI is still valid, and the date of conditions upon which it has changed, it must amend the original assessment and update its ERR, including the evaluation and determination of the FONSI. And there's several other things that they go on to say. The main point we want to make clear to you that we feel that this states an EA or an EFI if the evaluation indicates potentially significant impact. Failure to notify the Division of Administration of wetlands contained within the property makes it apparent that the engineering firm did not follow environmental review procedures as required by for the Louisiana Community Development Trust. I think this was referred to already. The preliminary engineering report of Hunter Engineers, revised and dated April 27, 1993, page 17 states, the proposed site imposes no environmental problem and is located out of the 100-year flood zone and designated wetland. According to a Forest Home 11/5/93 letter of conditions, it states any changes in project cost, source of funds, scope of service, or any other significant changes in this project, the applicant must report to and approved by Forest Home Administration by a written amendment to this letter. Any changes not approved by Forest Home shall be cause for discontinuing the application. According to a June 10, 1993 letter to Robert Xavier, the engineering firm from Bruce Bordelon, not only were items 21 wetlands, but it also questioned items 14, the aquifer recharge area, 22, the floodplain, and 24, the wildlife and scenic river. The letter states, on number 2, Part 3, asks if any land uses or environmental resources either to be affected or located within adjacent, were located within or adjacent to the proposed site. All items were checked no. However, it is our opinion that the following should have been checked yes. We further state, we realize some of the information may have been previously stated. This is from Mrs. Orman. We further state in the letter. We realize some of this information may have been previously stated. However, it was on the existing treatment plant and not the new site. We need to focus on the new project, the new site, and forget about the existing treatment plant and site. According to the July 2nd response from Mr. Xavier to Bruce Bordelon and Forest Home, it seems apparent that many of the items were simply marked according to Mr. Bordelon's suggestion that these items needed changing. Please do keep in mind that Mr. Bordelon asked you to focus on the new site and the new system. Mr. Xavier states, and I quote, the items you said should be marked yes on environmental form 1949-20, and again we think that's a typo, the number of the form, have also been marked except for items, have so been marked except for items 21, wetlands, and 24, scenic rivers. We believe that Mr. Xavier did not mark those yes because he felt he had the appropriate documentation to mark the no box. According to a February 18, 1994 Wildlife and Fisheries letter, and this is coming from the Wildlife and Fisheries, they let the town know that in the last paragraph, the Wildlife and Fisheries on the May 4, 1993 letter to Mayor Damiano had an error. And the Wildlife and Fisheries February 18th letter now requests the exact location and the purpose and the proposed characteristics of the discharge. A letter dated March 22nd to Mr. Ragusa clearly states when the site was looked at for purchasing. Also on that date, the mayor's letter, also note the date on Mayor Damiano's letter to the Wildlife and Fisheries. It was March 23rd, 1993. And it contains a map of proposed locations. The March 23rd, 93 correspondence should have included the Cason Road site as a proposed site. Are these forms taken seriously? Another illustration is that the Forest Home Letters of Condition dated November 5th, contains 10 pages, 20 conditions, many of which have several conditions. These letters were signed on November 5th, 1993, agreeing to meet all of these conditions. These conditions were to be met 120 days from the starting of this letter. This was at least 6 months ago. We have been hearing how closely the DEQ works with other agencies on these types of projects. And from what we have discovered, there seems to be a very serious problem with the lending agencies feeling that the DEQ approves because the DEQ sends a letter of no objection on the proposed site. On the other hand, we feel what we see is that the DEQ seems to feel that the lending agencies made sure that all the necessary environmental requirements are met and addressed properly. You see, the lending agencies also seem to rely on the town officials and the engineering firm to have these items addressed. Does anyone really check to see and make sure that the applicant or the engineering firm has done a complete and accurate job of environmentally reviewing the right proposed site? Former Zone Form 1940-20, Position 3, request for environmental information dated July 1st states, no for residential under item 3. Are there any of the following land uses or resources either to be affected or by the proposal located within or adjacent to the site? I believe you've heard that addressed here tonight. All of those items, that no people live back there, that there's no vegetation back there, that we don't have cattle grazing back there. All of these things were overlooked. We may not have zoning routines for whole parish, but we are still considered residential. At least the appraiser's report got that right. The appraiser's report dated November 18th on a neighborhood analyst page says, this is basically a residential area with rural characteristics. We will also present information that will show you not only was the fact that we were residentially overlooked, but that other items were overlooked. The engineering firm and town officials have for some time known that the Casey Road site contains wetlands. It appears that in failing to report by a written amendment to the former zone for approval, the applicant or the engineering firm has not followed former zone procedures. Because of the inquiries made by concerned citizens, the Corps of Engineers contacted the engineering firm, requesting Mr. Xavier's office to request an on-site determination of wetlands. Even though early in the process, both the applicant and the engineering firm became aware that the proposed site contained wetlands, they made no attempt to notify the Corps of Engineers or any other agencies concerned with the wetlands, illustration being Wildlife and Fisheries and EPA. Both environmental reviews for the Division of Administration and former zone should have been made, of course we consider. We feel both environmental reviews are incomplete. According to the Corps' August 22nd, 1994 letter to Mr. Xavier, and this is quoting part of it. Part of the property is the wetland subject to the Corps' jurisdiction. It further states that a Department of Owning permit under Section 404 Clean Water Act will be required, end quote. On March 22nd, the letter from Mayor Don Merrill to the Corps of Engineers had a map